Hey guys, it's Lori, pharmacist. I'm jumping on here to talk about the fainting nurse. And I really want to just kind of open up a discussion. I've seen so many posts about this, I can't count, and I've done some of my own little bit of detective work. And I'm just wondering if anybody else has seen anything that I haven't seen. And I want to discuss the second video that she made the same day that she got the vaccine, and the vasovagal syncope that she claims to have. Hey, Bobby. Hey, Carla. So this really isn't going to be me like teaching you guys anything so much, except for history that I've had of what I know about fainting and how often that happens after a vaccine or anything else. Hey, Mariel, how are you, lady? Good to see you. Hey, from Italy. Yeah, I noticed there was posts from Brazil, and I mean, this has gone global. I mean, literally global, and it needs to. This is the reality. And it looks like this girl's just disappeared as far as we can tell. I'm thinking to myself, okay, you were pretty brave to go on apparently international television. Maybe it was just national and it's just spread that far. But you were pretty brave to do that. And then obviously you weren't counting on feigning, even though later you told us you had this feigning syndrome, and even a hangnail can cause you to faint. So I'm just going to throw out what I've experienced as a healthcare professional, as a pharmacist. For those of you who don't know who I am a pharmacist. I've practiced mostly retail pharmacy almost 30 years and have given lots of vaccinations. I am no longer practicing retail. I am no longer working as a pharmacist because I do realize the dangers of prescription drugs and vaccines. I tell the truth. I don't try to tell people what to do, because it's your body, it's your choice. You need to look at the whole picture and understand the risks versus the benefits and make an informed decision. So just to let you know a little bit about me. Unfortunately, the pharmaceutical industry, the way things are set up right now, it's all geared toward kind of a marketing, get it done. But anyway, so that's a little bit about me. But what I know about feigning and the vaccines, having given multiple flu shots, pneumonia shots, shingles shots, I never had anybody faint on me. And yet, according to the literature, if you look up vasovagal syncope, it's very common. And, my mother actually had that. I didn't know what the name of it was, but she had fainting spells. I say fainting spells. If she one time I can remember, the only time I ever knew her to faint as a child, she had hit her funny bone under, under the table, the sharp edge on a table. She fainted. But in my lifetime, having supposedly that, or, she told me, I tend to faint easily. I have to she would put her head between her knees. We'd get her some kind of either Coca-Cola or orange juice or something to get her blood sugar back up, but the pain caused her to faint. So, and yet all the vaccines I've given, the pharmacists I work with, have worked with over the years, I've yet to hear anybody that had this happen. Now, obviously, it probably has happened, and I can tell you the last vaccine I got, sadly, it was when I got into pharmacy school, or was getting into pharmacy school. I think I had to get DPT, and I almost fainted after that vaccine, and I'm not a fainter. So it can happen. But for me, it was definitely the DPT, because I'm not a fainter. I've never fainted, but I did almost faint that day. And thank God I knew what to do from my mother. Otherwise, I probably would have been passed out. So, but here's what I know, so somebody named Tiffany Pontes Dover out of Higdon, Alabama, died. We don't know when. There's a Quarry search website you can go on, and you can type in, death. You type in the name, it pops right up, 30 years old. Higdon, Alabama is about 30 minutes from Chattanooga. This girl that got the vaccine was employed at CHI, whatever, a hospital in Chattanooga. I have another friend on Facebook who used to actually work at that hospital. So a couple of days ago, we were conversing, and she actually talked to somebody and said, yeah, this girl has kind of a history of fainting episodes, which begs the question, why would you put your fainting nurse as your spokesperson for the vaccine? I mean, I have a hard time believing that she faints all the time with a vaccine or a flu shot, because she's probably getting flu shots every year. Or why would they make her the spokesperson? That just doesn't really make any sense. But anyway, I'm looking for feedback. No, every shows up deceased on that query shirt. No, every? I don't know what that means. Everyone shows up deceased? How can that be? But then I also don't know what the time lag is. Like if you are pronounced dead, because this girl supposedly got the vaccine on the 18th of December. Would it be in there by now or yesterday? I don't know. Maybe I should look in there and see if I'm dead too. How to fight COVID. Yes. Thank you, Daniel. So I was just wanting to see if anybody had heard anything. And I think, you can go on her Facebook. She hasn't posted, I think, since the 11th. And that post was at the hospital since the 11th. Her Instagram account is Tiffany_Dover_. It's definitely her. She is the Tiffany Dover. Higdon, Alabama, as of 2010, had 1,398 population. So, I don't know. I looked to see if there was another Tiffany Higdon or Tiffany Dover that had died or any obituary, and there's not. So, are you sure she got it on the 18th? You know what, Selena? I am not. It may have been the 17th. Maybe somebody could find that out. I haven't researched. I know the 18th. The way I found out about it was Dr. Eric Naputi. If you follow him, he's very, proactive and outspoken about all this. He showed a clip, but that was the morning of the 18th. Let me think, around probably 9 o'clock or so that I saw his clip. I don't know when he went live, but that's when I saw it. Yes, pics posted of them at the restaurant, but someone called Old Mill and found there was no large family gathering. Sam, they have blocked her friends list. Oh, okay, Kelly, interesting. Well, I wouldn't doubt it. But my whole thing, somebody said, well, what about her we need to respect her privacy. And I'm like, okay, I don't have a problem with that, but you kind of owe it to us because you decided to be a guinea pig for an experimental vaccine on TV to let us know what's going on. And then somebody else commented that she's at home recovering. And I'm like, recovering from what? This vaccine's safe, right? I mean, that's what you're telling us. And then I keep seeing more posts from, literally news stories, mainstream media, about pausing. One place was pausing the vaccine, I think until today. Whoop-de-doo, I don't know what good that did because of adverse reactions. And other people are continuing to have adverse reactions. It's just going to really be interesting to see how this plays out because I don't think that the pharmaceutical industry accounted for all of this. And I am just so happy that it's happening because people really need to understand how these vaccines get to market and how much this is so much of a marketing thing, all these people on TV. And personally, I don't believe the big names are like Mike Pence. This is my opinion. I don't know this for sure. Nancy Pelosi, any of these big people are really actually getting the actual vaccine, because if something did happen to them, it is an experimental vaccine. At the end of the day, if something happened to them, I think it would really be game over. Yeah, I know. It's bad if MSM admits there's problems. You said it. So, turns absence of follow-up statement is illustrated of a real issue. Exactly. And then my thing is, me. Here I am making videos. Everybody now and their dog, practically with their dog in some cases, is making videos. Just give us a 30-second video. Even if you are in bed recovering and go, hey guys, I'm fine. I did have a little bit of a reaction, but I'm feeling okay and it's all good. Just let us know you're alive, you know? Is query search reliable? That is the $90 million question here. I don't know. I've never used it. I found it, based looking at other posts. But here's my thing still. Where are you? Even if it's not, where are you? Okay? And this is, I was thinking about this the other night, and I almost made a video, but anyway, I didn't, obviously. When this first came out, or the night that I first realized that this girl had fainted, and then she'd come back and said, oh, I faint if I have a hangnail, and that kind of, I'm sorry, I think that's a low to you-know-what, but I'm not saying she doesn't have the syndrome, but I don't think she faints when she has a hangnail, but that's my opinion again. I don't know, but if she does, I sure don't know why you'd use her as your spokesperson again. But I was thinking, is this going to be the thing that God really uses to let the pharmaceutical industry hang themselves? Because the reality of it is there is risks with every vaccine that is on the market. No vaccine is 100% safe. There are always casualties. I mean, even the pharmaceutical company admits 1 in a million is what they claim, even though there's literally no scientific data to back that number because we have a passive surveillance system. But that's what they claim, and that's what they get away with. So there are casualties out there. The question is this going to be the thing that really opens people's eyes? Is this going to be the key to the Great Awakening, part of the key? And I'm praying that it is, because I'm not here to tell you whether to get a vaccine or whether to take a prescription drug. I am here as a pharmacist. We are the drug experts. Well, the truth of the matter is we should be the vaccine experts too. But we're not. We're not trained on the dangers of the vaccines. We are to some degree in school about drugs, but not about vaccines. That actually needs to change. That needs to do a 180. All vaccines and flu shots are bioweapons. Well, they're certainly full of toxins, okay? And, again, the pharmaceutical industry says, the dose makes the poison. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm just not interested in having any poison. I'll pass. There's enough in the air, there's enough in the water, there's enough in the environment that I can't control. Why am I going to, on top of that, inject even teeny-weeny amounts of toxic substance into myself or my children? Wake up, and yes, God's on the move. Hallelujah. Yes, he is, Kelly, and I'm so glad you reached out to me. I had a grandmother reach out to me this morning about her grandchild getting, I think she's 8 weeks old, getting vaccines, and something about they live in New York, and the sad tale, we live in New York, and there's no way to get out of it. And I gotta say, I wasn't really the nicest person on the planet in response. I mean, I'm tired of sugarcoating it for people. You are really willing to sacrifice your child on the altar of vaccines? I mean, this is the reason that people that will just lay down instead of making the decision, no, I'm not, or I'm going to research and at least, okay, maybe you want to move forward with polio, the vaccine, or the measles vaccine. Back when we were only giving those vaccines, we didn't have near the illnesses in the children that we have now. I'm not personally promoting any vaccines, but because of my personal feeling, but, weigh the risk and all of that. But just to blindly fall and be a sheep, if people do not start taking a stand for their children, this is why New York is in the shape it's in. This is why California's in the shape it's in, because people just cowtail. They said, we just can't. And the reality of it is, in life, you have to make the right decision first. That's what you do. You make your right decision. It's like back, I had gone through divorce. I had 2 kids. Their dad really was not a participant in their life. And I'm like, how am I going to support 2 kids in homeschool? That was my big dilemma. But you know what? I just decided this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to homeschool my kids, and the rest is going to fall into place. because that's how you make things happen. You know, my grandmother used to have a saying, you know, she'd tell me to do something as a little kid, and I'd go, but Grandma, I can't. She'd go, can't, never could. And that has always stuck in my mind. And it's really true. And so, like I say to this woman, she may never speak to me again, and I wouldn't blame her, but I just said, you know, this spineless attitude is what's gotten everybody where they are. Why would you play Russian roulette with an 8-week-old baby whose blood is on your hands? And I don't know. But you know, you get into this box like, we can't, I can't, they can't. Well, I'm going to say to you, lady, can't, never could. Leave New York. Oh, we can't. Yeah, you can. You can do anything you want. The question is, are you going to stand up and do it and face your fears? That's what it really boils down to. Let's see what we got. Carla, we are safe back then. They've discovered the vaccines are the best way to kill off people for their agenda. That, and they make so much money on them. They make so much darn money. It is a billion-dollar industry rising as we speak, as they're injecting people with the new experimental COVID-19 vaccine, and they have no liability, which is another thing that has got to stop. You know, right before I jumped on here, and I shared it a little while down on my timeline, they are doing Turning Point. It's in West Palm Beach here, way south of me. Guys, I listened to this last night. The speakers on there are absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if you tuned in or not. It's one of those things that's, I don't even know how long it's going on, maybe all weekend. There's like thousands. I think it's mainly geared towards students and young people, but Charlie Kirk is there. Donald Trump Jr. was there. Oh gosh, who else? Some people I didn't recognize, but they were phenomenal, just really patriots. But they had America's Frontline Doctors. So I encourage you, after we get off of here, to tune into that. They had America's Frontline Doctors on there, and they were fixing to launch into hydroxychloroquine. But what these doctors were saying, and I'm so happy that these doctors are speaking out about how, you know, even just the anti-inflammatory drugs like dexamethasone and budesonide and anything that's anti-inflammatory, if you have a respiratory illness, I don't care what name you call it, it's due to inflammation in your bronchioles if you're having a hard time breathing. A steroid is gonna stop that thing short in a hurry. And why they didn't launch off with steroids with this whole coronavirus thing right out of the gate, it's crazy, and how many lives were sacrificed as a result. But anyway, I encourage you to tune into that and to share it, because even, like, they've been going since like 9 o'clock this morning. So, I don't know, they got speakers all day. I'm not really sure when it ends, but it's definitely worth listening to and sharing. Prove to me it's safe and effective, and you can prove it and be held liable. That's my whole thing. It's so safe and effective, you put your money where your mouth is. That's exactly the way I feel about it. If it were, then you would be willing to, okay? Just like whenever you go to buy something and they say, you know, you've got a 30-day money-back guarantee, you know that at least the people behind that product, whatever it is, believe in that product. And that says something for that product, not only the integrity of the product, but the integrity of the company. You know, I posted earlier this week about, here we go, Sackler family members deny responsibility for the opioid crisis in rare public appearance. You know, and I was like, oh, I'm shocked. Deny responsibility, the pharmaceutical industry? That is so out of character. Bull. The reality of it is, almost 30 years in the business, I've never seen them take responsibility. My doctor gave me steroids in December for a severe respiratory infection. Went away in a few days. I know. You know, steroids are dangerous. They can have some side effects, but generally short term, they are usually well tolerated, and they are really a lifesaver short term. I've taken prednisone. You know, I used to have asthma. That's a whole nother chapter. But when it would get really bad, man, prednisone. My youngest turns 3 in March and completely vax-free as well. And I bet, Tina, he is healthy, or she, whichever, I can't tell. That's so awesome. Yeah, my little granddaughter, like, it was funny, and maybe I threw it away. We got this little card in the mail. I showed it on another video about what, you know, things to get your 1-year-old for their birthday. And they had a couple of different things listed. And then the one that they had checked off was their 1 year well visit, and then a whole list of vaccines they might need. And I texted my daughter and Jess and I said, Pharma's basically saying, excuse me, pardon me, we have a huge problem here. Your child has spent no money in the pharmaceutical industry other than at birth, when we didn't do vitamin K or Hep B, right? Has contributed no funds to the pharmaceutical industry as of the date, her year birthday, because that's what it is. Oh wait, no, you need to come spend money. Excuse us. You haven't had your vaccines. My gosh, you could die. Really? Well, you know what? Why don't you give me the statistics there, doc, on the odds of my child dying? Because I personally looked them up and it's like real teeny weeny. So I don't know. I'm going to weigh the risk versus the benefits. I'm going to look at the package insert. I'm going to look at the ingredients. And look at the odds of dying, and then I'm going to make an informed decision. Well, our informed decision has been, no thanks, we'll pass, we're good. The kids, I think she's had a runny nose once in a year. I'm not even sure she's had a fever. I've mentioned before, but want you to address Lyme disease one day. Okay, let me write that down. I was just talking to a guy at work about Lyme disease. He actually, he's got immune system issues. And he started talking to me about, this is a young guy, he's in his 20s, and he said something about Lyme disease, but he goes, I have a genetic mutation. I go, oh, MTHFR? And he just looked at me, he was like, I go, I'm a pharmacist, I'm very familiar with MTHFR. It's fairly new. So we launched into this 20-minute talk, and he was asking me about Lyme disease. I'll give you my personal opinion. I will definitely do a video on that. I kind of want to stick to this chick. I just want us eyes wide open, guys. And please, if anybody hears anything or sees anything or whatever, because, and this is another thing I lost my train of thought earlier. We need to be watching these people that are having these side effects and being detectives as to who they are, because somebody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And especially now with what's going on in the awareness of vaccines, people are everywhere that are eyes wide open. I mean, I just talked to random people at my little job at Lowe's coming through the line, and they're wide awake to this vaccine. So not all of them. I mean, there's a few blind sheep. Florida, for some reason, though, I don't know, maybe it's just the area I live in. They're pretty eyes wide open, so I'm happy about that. I put it this way: fluoride vaccines and chemtrail spraying. Yeah, I would agree with that. Let me see if there's any questions on here I've missed. Does anyone here have the ingredients to the COVID vax? I have a copy of the insert, but can't find the list of ingredients. Rachel, I want to say somebody sent it to me. It's some real long chemical names. I remember that much. I don't know if it's the full list. Let me just write this down. Things I'll follow up on in subsequent videos. Because I'm just going to put myself out there for you guys. I was thinking the other day that pharmacists are the most accessible healthcare professional to the public. We're the one healthcare professional. You can walk into a CVS, Walgreens, grocery store, pharmacy, whatever, and you can say, hey, I need to ask the pharmacist a question, and you can walk up and get an answer, and we really need to be like I said, need to be experts on vaccines too, which I am, but it's because I've studied total extracurricular activity. It has nothing to do with the continuing ed I had to take to be an immunizing pharmacist each, every 2 years or whatever. But I just want to open myself up to you guys to answer any questions that you have at absolutely no charge. I'm just going to move to a platform of being here for you. And then if God puts it on your heart to donate to my cause, please. It's been tough. I was fired November of 2019 for recommending a book called How Not to Die by an MD, Michael Greger, and it says basically educating people on a plant-based diet. Oh, you're welcome, Rachel. Well, I got fired literally for helping people get well. I mean, that is for recommending this book. They said, oh, it's not client approved. I was working in a pharmacy that we do medication therapy management. So I was literally talking to people all over the U.S. all day long, counseling them on their drugs, helping them understand adverse side effects, drug interactions, but I always come to it from the point of how to help them get well if they're interested, if that's the direction they want to go. And so many did. So many were just crying out, do I have to keep taking all these medications? Is there anything I can do? Well, I literally got fired for doing that because they hired a new manager. He came in and went, oh, that's not client approved. I said, well, let's get it client approved. What do we got to do? I mean, I'm not, this isn't dangerous. This is just here's a book. This might help you. You can order it on Amazon kind of thing. Ooh, Amazon, I know that's a dirty word, but back then I didn't know. So I got fired. I keep saying that. All right, yesterday, a former coworker sent me a picture of, how these companies have, whatever university. So like Lowe's, we have Lowe's University. When I worked for Winn-Dixie, we had Winn-Dixie University. And it's like training courses for whatever position you're in. That educate you to whatever. So I had that at Winn-Dixie were required courses I had to take. Well, this company that I used to work for has the same thing. Well, they now have one educating pharmacists on a plant-based diet, non-pharmacological approach to health improvement. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's what I got fired for. So yeah, I'm having a little bit of an issue with that. But anyway, that's for another day. So let me tell you something. God is just. And, it would have been one thing if I'd have been giving people bad advice and, just stop your medications or anything like that. But it was never the case. It was just recommending something that was in black and white that they could hold in their hand, learn some things to eat to improve and reverse their disease if they were willing, Hey, Regina, how are you? Thanks for hopping on. So anyway, any other questions? Anybody give me some feedback? I will make videos on it. Like I say, I'm putting myself out there. I'm not here to ever tell you what to do. Never told my patients what to do. I just said, well, this is what you ought to know. Think about it. It's your decision. I'm very interested in what your thoughts are on all of this COVID related stuff. And I'm very interested in finding out what happened to the nurse. Everyone wants to know. I know. Pharmacists kind of got themselves in a pickle on this one. They've got themselves on a pickle. And I mean, the long and short of it is this chick better show up and make us a little video or somehow let us know she's alive. And since she was so brave to get on national television and have a vaccine, I'll tell you this, after having that, let's just say I was pro-vaccine here, okay? And I was just all about getting all the vaccines. Not. But after my experience with the vaccine I had before I went into pharmacy school that was required, probably could have gotten out of it, but I didn't know enough. Do you think I'd have put my behind on national television and said, oh yeah, I'll be your spokesperson as mouthy as I am? I'd be like, you know what? The last time I got a vaccine, I almost fainted. I don't think I'm your girl. Plus, I mean, I don't know about you, but to me, it's kind of a private thing. When I was giving flu shots, pneumonia shots, we had like a private area, that didn't have access to the rest of the public that we gave our vaccines. They weren't just out there in front of the pharmacy, and, in the midst of traffic, in front of God and everybody, shooting people up. But I can also tell you all the vaccines I even gave people a few flu shots standing up. That's not how it's recommended, but they'll be like, no, I'm fine. I get it every year. Just go ahead and give it to them and be like, okay. It depends on the person, but none of them, even though vasovagal syncope is common per the internet, never had an issue. So I don't know. Any other questions, guys? I'm here for you. Hey, Bobby, yes and amen. You were so right. I mean, all the COVID stuff, I've said it 1,000 times before, and I'm going to say it again. We've survived thousands of viruses for thousands of years. And when this whole thing started, I didn't see how this was going to be the one that was going to wipe out humanity, even though if you listen to Anthony Fauci, millions. And now we have the data that we know that it's 99+%. If you're under 70, 99.5+%, I think, depending. Anyway, over 99% of people recover. And the people over 70, it's somewhere like 94.6%. So why, first of all, why are we even making a vaccine for this? And they talk about herd immunity. You know, herd immunity originally came from people building antibodies to whatever it was in nature before the whole vaccine thing ever came on to the scene in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And yet that's what they use to hugely push their agenda, is the whole herd immunity thing, when if you get a disease and then your body makes antibodies, and there you go, you're immune, right? Mark. Hey, Mark, this is Mark as a fellow pharmacist. So this injection should be considered as a biologic, but they gave it a name of a vaccine for a protection of the laws for vaccines. Well, the thing about it is, all vaccines are considered biologics, and that's why they get away, with such short clinical trials. And only, like the Hep B vaccine, I think they watched like 5 days afterwards. So that means if somebody had a reaction on the 6th day, that falls into post-marketing. It doesn't actually fall into something that they list as could have happened. And that's because they are biologicals, whereas drugs come under a lot more stringent criteria, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I realize I really should have shared this to my Wise Pharmacist page. But anyway, yeah, so this is a biologic. As far as I know, that's how they're classifying it. That's why they got away with warp speed. That's why, I mean, what were these people? Were they even surveyed or in the clinical trials 30 days after the second dose? Did it even go that far? It's insanity. And a new vaccine, mRNA, never brought an mRNA vaccine to market. The ones that have, I looked up, it's been a while now, and I need to go back and revisit it. Let me write that down, mRNA vaccines. I went to clinicaltrials.gov and looked up mRNA vaccines. There's like a list of all the mRNA vaccines they've run clinical trials on. They were all halted or stopped for some reason. I mean, hello, and now you're going to... mRNA vaccine never brought to market. Coronavirus vaccine never brought to market. All others that they've attempted have been epic fails because they didn't get out of the animal trials because the animals died or fared horribly. And now we're launching this on the whole world. And yet, look what's going on. I mean, national news, international news, I guess, is talking about, oh, this reaction, this person, this group of people's having reactions, and now this nurse is kind of looks like disappeared off the planet. My son had a seizure from the MMR and DTaP, but because his reaction happened 5 days after, they said it had no relation. Of course they did. If I look back to pictures leading up to his seizure, you can see it was in his eyes. He wasn't well. This was a 15-month-old. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Is he doing okay now? Oh, you're so welcome, Paul. Lori, are you on Patreon? No, I probably need to get on there. I have a website that you can donate at. It's called Thewisepharmacist.com. So right now I have that, and I think it's PayPal. There may be another, but usually people go through PayPal. But I'll set up a Patreon. Because what I also want to do is put myself out there for mothers to ask questions. I see so many posts in some of these groups asking about, I'm not sure whether I should get my child vaccinated. My vision is to have maybe group Zoom calls and different platforms where we can say, okay, here's the topic, and I send out a Zoom link to everybody that's interested, and we get on and we have a discussion, and that way we can also see faces and people can ask different questions. So that's what I'm really moving in the direction of doing, and just being that pharmacist that is there to answer your questions for you. I can't say I'm always going to be able to answer every question, but by God, I will do the research and get back to you if I don't know the answer. I'll be the first one if I don't know something to go, I don't really know, because I learned a long time ago, I don't have to know everything. I just need to know where to go to look, and above all, keep my integrity and be honest with you when I say, you know, there's things I don't know. I have to research just like everybody else does. But I can tell you this, I have thoroughly researched vaccines over the last 2 years, and I've thoroughly researched adverse reactions to some of these drugs that are so common, and you just need to be aware. Here are some of the vaccine ingredients. These are injected into your kids. Yes. And you know, there is the CDC, there's a place on there. All you have to do is type in CDC or vaccine excipient list, CDC. And it pops right up. I like it because it's got all the vaccines in alphabetical order, or I guess it's actually according to disease state or whatever, but it's a really quick reference. Now, and then you can always look at package inserts. Are easy to find. They're a lot longer. They're a lot more involved. But if you want to know, you really need to look at post-marketing. Yeah, it fell into that little category after they quit surveillance, which could have been as little as 5 days. But these are the things that happen to people: seizures, encephalopathy. Oh God, it can be any number of things. Death is even sometimes listed on there, depending on the vaccine. But all the side effects are all the things that happen to people after a period of time that they continue to surveillance them. 30 days, whatever it was. And this is what went on with the HPV vaccine, is that they even have, if you look at what went on in the clinical trials, 2.3% or something of the people in the trials, both male and female, came back with autoimmune issues they didn't have before they ever took the vaccine. And the thing about it is, the cervical cancer, the anal cancers, all of that are in the 0.01 and below percent category of people that are even diagnosed. People rarely die of anal cancer. I'm not saying it never happens, but it's so rare. Why would you take a chance of getting an autoimmune disorder that came back for so much larger percentage of the people that were in the clinical trial? I mean, I don't know, it's crazy. Do you have proof that Pfizer CEO won't take it? No, I know there was an article. I don't know, but I'll tell you what, if he's smart, he won't. That's what I have to say about the whole thing. Let me write that down. Well, I really hope, some other pharmacists start getting real about what's going on with drugs. And I don't know why they can't wake up. Some are, but I'll tell you this, I'm the only pharmacist I know that seems to be worried. Everybody else is just kind of like, oh yeah, we're the drug experts. Take your pills. Wonderful about shingles vaccine due to shingles this summer. Did you email me, Linda? Somebody did, and I've read it, but I haven't had a chance to respond. And I wanted to... Somebody emailed me something similar to this today, and I haven't had a chance to respond, but I want to set up a call with you because questions like this are really hard for me to answer on a live because I really need to go back and forth with you and ask you some questions. Okay, you did email me. Okay, sweetie, and I'm not going to respond to the email, but just know that I read it this morning, and let's schedule a call, okay? No charge, because I want to talk to you, because I've had shingles too, and I want to talk to you about what I did, and and especially if you got the vaccine, I want to hear about that, okay? All right, guys. Well, amen, Daniel. I never have taken them. And I got to tell you something. Okay, this just occurred to me. Remember, I almost fainted from the DPT shot. And you say, well, maybe it wasn't the vaccine. Maybe you just had low blood sugar or whatever. I don't know. God knows. That was back, I think I was 28 years old. It was like 30 years ago. So I don't remember. I just know. Never. The only time I've ever felt like I was going to faint was when I've had really low blood sugar. And that was 2 other times in my life. But it's not like I'm a fainter. But anyway, when I went to, when I had to go get certified immunized down in Orlando with the company I was working for at the time, after I got down there, they're like, oh yeah, now we're going to have to each, they wanted us to get a flu shot at the clinic, or at the, whatever it was. I said, oh no, not this chick, no. But they said, you're each going to have to inject yourself with saline, okay, to practice on each other, because none of us had ever given a vaccination before, right? So we paired off with partners, and trust me, I made sure that what was drawn out of that vial was a vial of saline, because there was no way I was getting a flu shot. I didn't even know what was in them, but I'm like, no, not for me. Well, it was a saline injection. You know, my little partner, bless her heart, she was a young pharmacist, and she was looking at me like I was she's like going like this, like she was playing darts at my arm. And I'm like, hold up, sweetie, hold up. You know, there's a needle, it's sharp. You don't have to plunge it into me. And anyway, she gave me the injection. I felt nothing. Didn't have a fainting spell. Didn't feel dizzy, nothing. So based on my experience, I think that the DPT vaccine actually caused the fainting spell. That's what I believe. I believe the injection of toxins into my body caused me to have that reaction. And that's why I understand thoroughly why the pharmaceutical industry doesn't just use saline, because when you get a saline injection, nothing happens. And so that would make the side effect profile of the true vaccine so obvious that people are really getting side effects. That's why they use a similar, either another vaccine or an adjuvant or something. My kids probably had the antibodies, yet the pediatrician did not test them and gave them the chickenpox vaccine. I'm sorry, Lisa. That was really dumb on their part. And here's the thing, chickenpox isn't deadly. I opted out of vaccines when it came to my kids. They've barely been vaccinated. And, the chickenpox vaccine discussion came up, and I said, I'm just going to let them get chickenpox. And that's what we did. Did this nurse pass away? Hey, Casey, we don't know, but here's what we do know. She's MIA. And one person that I've been conversing with had done enough detective work to come up with names in the family, and had a screenshot of a thread of their conversation. And it looks like they're covering it up. I mean, that's what it looks like. I'm not saying that's true. I don't know that for a fact. But where is she? And even if she is, somebody said, I don't think it was a family member, she's recovering at home as if they know her. Well, recovering from what? You got, was it the vaccine? I mean, what happened? And if so, just shoot us a 30-second video. Let us know you're okay. That's all we want. But you really need to let people know. And then the same person said maybe there's a gag order in place. I don't know. I don't know if these people are having to sign a waiver, getting an experimental vaccine if something goes wrong, that they're going to keep their mouth shut until investigation. I don't know. If anybody out there knows anybody that is actually doing this, and I know who I'm going to reach out to about this, and I'm going to write it down. I have a nurse that I know of that's not getting it, but knows like everybody at her workplace. There's got to be somebody she knows that she can find out, are they having to sign any kind of a waiver? And what is it? Anyway, Tiffany hasn't posted on her Instagram since she had the vax. Exactly. She hasn't posted on her Instagram. She hasn't posted on her Facebook. But supposedly she's recovering. Was recovering? I don't know. So anyway, all right, guys. Let me go ahead and give you my contact information. If you have any questions, you can email me or you can try to contact me through Facebook. And if you have any idea, anything that you want me to do a video on, really just want to do lives and do open discussion and open myself up for any questions that you have. What else have we got? Her Instagram up to 15K followers. Yeah, you can get popular quick, I bet. So, you know, I hope she's okay. I wish no ill on anyone, of course, but it's like Del Bigtree said, something I was listening to him. It's probably been a year ago if it was a day, but if you know that vaccines cause harm to some people and that some people are going to be sacrificed, it's just the way it is. And so you opened it up to a group of people and you said, you know, we've got this wonderful vaccine. It's going to, you know, keep your kids from getting sick and whatever disease, you know, you want to call it for or whatever. But we've got to sacrifice one child. One child has got to be put on the altar and sacrificed in order before we give this vaccine to all your children, which are, by the way, going to save your children's lives. Who would sign up for that program? If you knew going into a deal that some people are going to be sacrificed, one child, in this case, just one child. She's going to sacrifice one child, then we're going to vaccinate the whole world and everybody else is going to be saved. Who's going to sign up to willingly sacrifice that child or person? 6 people, from what I understand, died in the Pfizer trial. 4 in what they're saying is, remember, they run their own trials, which is hugely problematic too. There should be independent companies who get paid regardless of the outcome. That would be honest. Having any manufacturer that's going to make money on a product, run their own trials, be the people that are telling you it's safe and effective is, quite frankly, bullcrap. It is utter bullcrap, and that needs to stop. One of my biggest concerns about this will still probably cause the majority to be sterilized. Do you have any data on this? I don't, Mark. All I know is that, from what I understand in the clinical trials, the people were supposed to sign a waiver saying that they weren't going to have sex, that they weren't pregnant, that, you know, now they're giving it to pregnant women, supposedly. Brilliant. You know, it's one of those things. All they had to do was just get it past the finish line, and now everybody out there is going to be subject to this vaccine, and they know nothing. They really know. I mean, how can you know sterility on something if it was only observed maybe 30 days after the second dose was given? I mean, you're talking about, what, maybe 3 months? Because supposedly there was like 28 days between the first dose and the second dose. How do you determine sterility? I don't know. Gates. Yeah. And yet, if this turns out to be an epic fail, what's going to be their plan B? Because we know they got something in their hip pocket, right? They don't put all their eggs in one basket. Vaccine impact. Doctors around the world issue dire warning to not get COVID vaccine. Yeah, I need to read that. I am subscribed, Daniel, to their email. It's probably in my email today. But yeah, I'm subscribed to that. So if you're not subscribed to Vaccine Impact on their mailing list, it's vaccineimpact.com. Phenomenal articles come out of that organization. Absolutely phenomenal. The guy's brilliant. Whoever started it, I can't think of his name, but he's brilliant. Let's see. In 2010, Gates vaccine sterilized 600,000 women out of 2.1 million vaccinated in India, I believe. Yeah, I know. Let me think. What was that vaccine? Tetanus. That was tetanus. Yep. Tetanus vaccine. Very sad. Very sad. And again, I find it interesting that it's America that's getting, Moderna. They just approved Moderna. Ooh, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on with that vaccine, another mRNA. But the developed world is what's getting the Moderna vaccine and the Pfizer vaccine, which are the two mRNA vaccines. And what have I said from day one? If you have, well, not day one, if you haven't read, I could put it in the link, World Economic Forum Visions for 2030. There's like 30 things they're aspiring to accomplish, and one of them, I can't remember how it's worded, it has to do with tracking us on our phones, but AI, artificial intelligence, into humans. And what better way to do that than a vaccine? And that's why I'm like, it would make to me more sense, and I'm not saying this is what's going on, but it would make so much more sense to me that is what's going on really with this vaccine, an attempt to mass vaccinate the world is an AI issue. But third world countries, and this is what I was starting to say, are getting like the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is not an mRNA vaccine. It's the older style out of an adenovirus, chimpanzee. Do they not need to chip third worlders like they do us? I don't know that people in third world countries, do they have 3G, 4G, 5G towers? Do these people carry cell phones? Or have they pretty much got them under, they've got them under control because they're so poor. And so it's really us third worlders who have the audacity to question and to speak out that they've got to reel in. And so we've got that going on with Visions 2030. They're wanting to make it a society where you don't need an automobile. You can walk everywhere. Well, that sounds so rosy and wonderful, but here's the thing. If I don't have a car, I can't leave. If I just want to say, hey, I'm going to go to North Carolina and rent a cabin, I got no transportation. I'm stuck. I'm wherever they want me to be under their thumb. And that's, even if we didn't have the whole vaccine and the whole AI thing and tracking with our cell phones going on, which is what they talk about on the World Economic Forum, just the fact that they want to take away our cars is a huge red flag to me. So I encourage you to look at that because, they've been working on this mRNA vaccine for decades. So in my mind, and all that we know about the whole COVID-19 and the whole coronavirus thing, if you've done your research, Event 201 by Bill Gates back in 2019, everything smells of something that's been they've been planning for quite a while. I don't know that for sure. That's my opinion. I keep saying my opinion because I'm just being honest, but I think it's something you need to think about. Because if this has been something that's in the works and this is part of what's pulling us together in order to get us ready for 2030, where we really are pawns and they decide who lives and who dies and they control what we do and where we go, and we're basically robots. I mean, just reading the economics, the Visions 2030, it's a robotic society. I mean, there's nothing about God in there. There's nothing about happiness and joy. I mean, there's just nothing about individuality. It's so honestly demonic and oppressive when you start to read it. It's where, I'm telling you, everybody on the planet, as far as I'm concerned, needs to read that can read. They need to know what these visions are, because the visions are by the elites, okay? That's who's putting this together. This isn't just some professor at some random university. I mean, they pulled all these ideas from all these world-renowned or whatever they are professors at the universities all over the world. So it's pretty oppressive. Probably part of the elite circle. Yeah, the Matrix. You got it. All right, guys. Well, I've got to go to work here pretty soon. But thank you so much for jumping on here with me. We've had a great turnout, and I want to keep these going. I want to keep these discussions going because it should never be wrong to answer questions. To ask questions. And knowledge is power. Power is freedom. And we need all we can get. So, the scripture says, for lack of knowledge, my people perish. So please share this video with your friends, and I'll put my contact information. It's thewisepharmacist.com. I was charging for consults, but I'm really not even going to do that anymore. I'm just kind of moving to it because I feel like we're in a crisis situation, big time. Especially with the election and everything that's going on with that. Oh, you are so welcome, Mark. We haven't even touched on the election today, and that's good. That's okay. But we are in a crisis situation as a nation, and it's time to rise up. It's time for healthcare workers to start to say no to them mandating your stupid flu vaccines, which is a bunch of horse crap. I'm sorry, but they say, that's a whole nother video in itself, that the flu shot is the best way to protect yourself from the flu. Okay, great. Where's that scientific data there, CDC? Just give us that, because I've looked at what they use. It doesn't cut it. That's another video. But anyway, in my opinion, it doesn't cut it. All right, you guys. So it's thewisepharmacist.com. Also, thewisepharmacist@gmail.com if you want to shoot me any questions, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. If you've got a complicated question, we'll schedule a FaceTime or a Zoom call or whatever you want to do. I'm here for you. And guys, we've got to rise up and say no more. Hold on, I'm just look, make sure there's anything else that I wanted to talk to you about. I think we're good. For this one. Okay. So any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. God is good. God is in control. We win. We win. We win. Hallelujah. We win. My wife is a nurse, and she said she's not taking it. Thank God, James. So, James, let me put you on this. Does your wife know some people that are taking it, and what forms they're having to sign, if any? I want to know what forms these people are having to sign, because why has this nurse disappeared off the planet? As far as a voice, I'm not sure she's gone, but we certainly have not heard from her. That brave nurse. And yet now she's gone really silent. Okay, please share this video, you guys. We got to stick together, all right? That's how we overcome. And if you get a chance, tune in to Turning Point. Phenomenal speakers. I'm telling you, it will build your faith. We are rising up. The Patriots are rising up. All right, love you guys. Thanks, Susan. God bless you too. Talk soon. Okay, James. Well, whatever you can do. I'm just trying to find out. I want to know what they're having to sign, because I have a feeling it's something, and I wonder if these people have read the fine print. All right. Sounds good. I appreciate it. All right, you guys have a great day. Hey, Zach. Thanks for hopping on here, sweetie. I appreciate it. You are such a smart guy. I have all kind of hope for you, and I'm going to be doing some research about what we were talking about the other night, okay? All right. Love you guys. Talk soon.